All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is June 7th, 2026, day 100 of the US Iran war. And because it's the weekend, we're not going to get much news and updates. So instead, we're just going to review some clips from some other analysts and maybe just go over some cool clips for the weekend. So, guys, let's get right into our first clip. And it's Judge Napolitano and Larry Johnson, former CIA analysts, claiming that Iran has gotten maybe a nuclear weapon. So let's just get right into our first clip.
Let me take you back to what you said a few minutes ago about Iran testing. Are you talking about testing a nuke or testing something as if it were a nuke?
No, setting off a nuclear device.
Meaning Iran has a nuclear device.
That's what we're trying to clarify right now with the source. Pepe and I are both involved. We'll probably have some news on that maybe later this afternoon or later today on the East Coast time. But it's not clear if Iran itself has built one or if it has been given one.
Well, Larry, this is profound breaking news. We haven't heard this from any other source.
Right. Yeah.
Will you be in a position to confirm or modify or retract or whatever later today?
Yes. Yeah, I hope so. That's what we're working on.
Right,
Again, I say that if this is true, and the sourcing, at least the sourcing we've got on it so far, seems pretty solid.
All right. So if Iran really has a nuke now, and we did all of this, started a war to prevent them to get a nuke, then what was the point if they actually get a nuke like North Korea? What was the point? All right, moving along. All right, our second clip. IRGC launches missile strikes on U.S. bases in Kuwait. Explosions also reported in Bahrain and Iraq. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has claimed responsibility for missile strikes on U.S. military bases in Kuwait, saying the attacks were retaliation for an American strike on Qasem Island, a strategically located island in the Strait of Hormuz. Kuwait's defense ministry confirmed it is under attack from drones and missiles. Iran's state broadcast IRIB said strikes hit both Camp Erjan and Aliyah Salim Air Base in at least two waves. 8 explosions reported in Bahrain, which is also under attack, according to various monitoring accounts. Explosions were reported near the village of Masan on the southern coast of Qasem Island, Far News reported. Iran also appears to be heavily striking Iranian Kurdish opposition groups near Erbil in northern Iraq. Earlier, CENTCOM said U.S. forces fired a Hellfire missile into the engine room of a Botswana flag commercial tanker, the MT Lexi, after its crew ignored warnings while attempting to reach Iran's Karg Island. CENTCOM says it has now disabled 6 commercial vessels and redirected 122 since imposing a naval blockade of Iran ports on April 13th. The IRGC warned the time of strike and run has passed, adding that any further aggression will be met with a seismic, decisive, and crushing response. All right, and we got some footage from Kuwait.
وبصوت الانفجارات قوي قاعد تسمعونها؟ وبصوت الانفجارات قوي قاعد تسمعونها؟ وبصوت الانفجارات قوي.
All right. That was footage from Kuwait. All right, moving right along. We have Iranian professor Marandi versus Piers Morgan, famous UK journalist. And apparently they are getting into it over Iran. And so let's hear what they got to say.
The leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, he was martyred because he stayed at home. And he said, I'm not leaving my office and my home because many Iranians have nowhere to go. And so I cannot leave. And he chose to stay, even though everyone knew that he would be a primary target. Unlike your leaders and the Epstein class in your country, which do all sorts of things to ordinary people, he stood with his people and he stayed with his people. And that's why he's so popular. And unlike the propaganda that we see on your show all the time with these insane pundits who've never been to Iran, who know nothing about Iran, who just repeat these Epstein-class talking points, the Iranian people are steadfast and standing beside and behind the Islamic Republic. And as we speak, across Tehran, under missile fire, you see huge crowds of people in different parts of the city protesting against the United States and calling for the armed forces to resist. And might does not make right. As I learned from school, children know this. We are in the right. No matter how you try to frame it and pretend that we killed in Iran tens of thousands of people on the streets and all that fake media propaganda, the reality is the reason why Iran is hated is because we're against ethnic cleansing. We're against ethno-supremacism. Why don't you show the crowds that are 100 times larger in small cities than these crowds? Because you cannot do that. Because in order to remain on air, you have to pursue certain narratives. My country is under airstrikes from your criminal regime, your Epstein regime. My country, the people in my city are being slaughtered by your garbage regime. And you don't know anything about Iran, and you just talk and talk and talk, and you're afraid of me saying a single sentence. Iran is being bombed by your regime. Our children are being slaughtered. As we speak, your regime is bombing my country, and your regime sent in intelligence, the Israeli Mossad, the CIA, according to the former head of the CIA, according to the Mossad itself, they sent in people to infiltrate. According to Channel 14 of Israeli TV, which is close to Netanyahu, they brought in weapons that killed hundreds of police officers and volunteers on the streets. So the 3,117 people who were killed, and all of them have their ID and information, they're well known. If you have any extra names, give them to me and let's see what your evidence is. All of those people are recognized. And wait a moment. Wait a moment. And if there was one police officer killed in your country, what would the reaction be? Some young woman was turning to the right. They shot her in the face. Here they killed 200 police officers and well over 100 volunteers on the streets. And you call that peaceful protest, but you ignore the millions of people on the streets as we speak in Tehran right now. Just one final sentence. For 47 years, you have been, your government, your regime, your media has been saying Iran is unpopular. Iran is about to fall. The regime is collapsing. And it never happened. And do you know what? That is exactly the same thing that your media and your governments would say about Mossadegh. When he was in power, they were saying he's evil, he's criminal, he's corrupt. Go and look at the New York Times, the Washington Post. It's always the same. Your problem is that we are independent and that we do do not accept the Epstein class that rapes
Okay.
and murders little kids.
Okay.
We don't
If I may
accept
respond,
them murdering
if I may
our
respond,
kids. We will not allow your regime to kill our kids and get away with it.
Okay, so professor from Iran versus UK Pierce Morgan. Moving right along. All right. Bombshell. Iran is preparing to completely obliterate the massive Al-Udeid air base. Tehran will deploy devastating Fatah 110 ballistic missiles with airburst fuses. Trump's disastrous war has left 8,000 American troops completely exposed to destruction.
One of the most probable targets in a direct confrontation is Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar. As the largest U.S. military installation in the Middle East, it hosts around 8,000 American troops and serves as the regional headquarters for U.S. Central Command. The base plays a crucial role in supporting air operations across the region and is a central pillar of the U.S. military presence in the Gulf. To strike Al-Udeid and similar bases, Iran could deploy ballistic missiles such as the Fateh 110, which has a range of about 300 kilometers, or the QN-1, capable of reaching up to 800 kilometers. If it uses a proximity fuse, it may detonate just above the surface, airburst, to maximize fragmentation and increase the affected area.
All right. Moving right along. Footage reportedly shows an Iranian air defense system exploding during the U.S. Israel war on Iran. Once again, huge explosion. "26 years old today. My anxiety is high. I'm overwhelmed by my email job. 26-year-olds in 1944." Yeah, man. Two different lifestyles.
Let's go! Let's go! Follow me!
All right, we got a soldier, obviously from a clip though, refusing to leave his brother's side in the heart of a moment of war. All right, let's move right along. Just a couple military clips, movie clips.
ingredients of chocolate, a farm hazelnut chocolate. Oh my! Oh my god. 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 Linda! 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 Honey? Babe, how are you even? Babe, are you okay? Babe, wake up. Babe, wait. Oh! 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 Oh, wait, what the? Oh my.
Right, guys, just bringing some clips. Like I said, there ain't much news going on, so hopefully just something interesting, bring a little smile or something cool.
End of the line. Get on your knees.
You should have brought a rope.
Target is in the river! Move in! Fire at will! I don't see her! The current might have taken her down! She didn't drown! Cross the river! Go! Spread out! I want her found! Contact! Front!
All right, guys, let's keep it right. Moving along. All right. Caught on camera, U.S. military conduct nighttime raid drills over Southern California. Something big is coming. While people are warning of impending major events, these videos show U.S. Special Forces, once it saw Night Stalkers running heavy urban warfare drills. All right. We got combat footage live from Ukraine. Let's get in some live combat footage from Ukraine.
Заїбаш його! Він стрельнув мене.
Ні. Автомат.
Що там? Гіра, поможи йому. Затягуй быстрей. Давай. Давай, быстрее. Давай. Тяни. Тяни хорошо.
Где они туда? Откуда тебе прилетело, братан? Понял?
Блин, даже. Я на последних... Так,
Да.
так, просто... Я пішов.
All right. We got another video where just showing across the world hard work, where everybody definitely can't do this. I understand fighting against another human being, but fighting Mother Nature, that's insane. All right, we got Jimmy Dore and Tucker Carlson.
It seemed to me so much is happening, it's hard to get perspective on any of it, but it does feel like Thomas Massey's loss in the primary in Kentucky 2 weeks ago was like a kind of pivot point in American politics. What was your response to it?
Well, my response to it was, how dare we, preach democracy around the world and tell people that the people in China are oppressed when we obviously don't have democracy here, right? Yeah. This is a complete. We just gave up, and so now it's the oligarchs. As I was telling you before, it's just proof that we don't live in a democracy. They did that Princeton study in 2015 about how the 90% of people, their wishes never are expressed in legislation, and it's only the top 10% of the wealthy people. And there's a direct correlation. If 50% of the wealthy people want something, 50% of the time it happens, And so, but the bottom doesn't matter. Your vote that literally doesn't matter. And we're living in that. And so, I was telling you before, in China, the government sits above capital.
Yes.
And so the economy works for the people. But in the United States, capital is above the government. And so the economy doesn't work for the people. It works for a handful of international globalist billionaires, which is why we have homelessness everywhere. We have the biggest prison population in the world. And, we still go bankrupt just to get educated. You get bankrupt when you get sick. And like I say is that we live in a surveillance state. And so we're like China, except we have more street crime and slower trains.
No. And we get lectured constantly in the most self-righteous way by the worst people.
Yeah, you already know who he's talking about, who he just took a shot at. And I will not say his name or the country. No, I refuse. All right, let's go. Moving on, guys. Clips, like I say, the news is pretty dry, official news. So we just catching some clips. Hanging out.
I found one of the people responsible for killing my comrade's family. I pressed the detonator. Then I used the car for cover and threw a smoke grenade. After taking out the killer's bodyguards, he tried to beg for mercy, but I didn't hesitate.
Please stop.
I had already started investigating him a few days earlier. He had security cameras installed all around his residence. Before long, I bought all kinds of chemical materials and used my past experience to build a bomb. Then I drove to the building where he lived and waited downstairs. By the time he realized something was wrong and tried to run, it was already too late. Then I quickly drove away from the scene. The police started chasing me, and they were right on my tail. As soon as I turned a corner, I saw that they had already set up a roadblock ahead. They opened fire on me like crazy, but when they rushed up and yanked the car door open, I had already disappeared. I escaped all the way into the mountains. I found a cabin there, so I picked the lock, went inside, and treated the wound on my arm. I pulled out a map, quickly planned an escape route, and then fled deeper into the mountains through the pouring rain. But this revenge was far from over. There were still 3 high-ranking Navy officials involved in the deaths of my comrade's family. I planted listening devices in their homes. Just as he was about to run, I blocked his way. He kept begging me to spare his family. I told him to follow my orders, and then I would let his family live. Soon, he arrived at Navy headquarters exactly as I had instructed. He took out his phone and handed it to the Admiral. After the Admiral took the call, he started mocking me.
You are a wisp of smoke blowing down the jet stream.
But when he saw the Colonel unzip his jacket, the Admiral immediately changed his tone and started begging for mercy.
Do not do this!
But I didn't hesitate at all. I pressed the trigger. Now, there was only one person left on the kill list. The Secretary of Defense had already hidden inside a safe house. That night, I put on diving gear and infiltrated the area. I detonated a docked yacht. While their attention was drawn away, I quickly closed in on the safe house. After reaching the entrance, I shot up a car to cut off the escape route. The guards in front of me were taken out in an instant. When I reached the second floor, I threw a smoke grenade. Then I switched to thermal imaging and quickly cleared out the enemies. The last guard surrendered on the spot. I ordered him to open the security door. By then, there were no guards left around the secretary.
I never meant to hurt you, Commander. I swear, I wanted to help you.
Doesn't matter. She lit the fuse.
But my comrade had died because of her orders, so I couldn't let her go. The secretary knew she wasn't going to make it out alive. In the end, she chose to shoot herself. By the time the special forces arrived, Lorraine's body was
Hey guys, this is gonna be a short stream tonight. There's not much information out. Um, yeah. Yep, short stream. And I will catch you guys next time.